What if your digital photos could look like old school film? So Dehancer claims that they can bring the film look to your digital photos. And they've reached out to me and asked me to test the plugin and give my honest feedback. This is not a sponsored video, but they did give me full access to the entire plugin for me to test. If you are interested in the product, there is an affiliated link down in the comments below. Or you can use the code Carly10 to get your 10% discount going forward. So in this video, I will give my honest opinion. I will tell you what I loved about the plugin, what I feel could be better or is a bit niggly. I will go through some of my favorite film stocks, features, and I will show you a few results I got with this plugin. And right at the end, and I will stick around for this one, I will go through the mobile app as well. Although I only used this plugin from Lightroom, that's the photo editing software I use, it is also available for other photo editing apps like Affinity, Capture One and Photoshop. It's also available for the video editing side. But I've started with the photo editing because that's my comfort zone. That's what I know. I am comfortable with editing photos. Whereas with the videos, I'm still on a little bit of shaky ground. But I will be testing out the video plugin as well and doing a review of that fairly soon. So I don't have a deep film background, which brings up 2 points. The first one being that I won't be able to tell you exactly how accurate this plugin is in comparison to real film. But on the other hand, and this was a big one for me, is that I got the opportunity to learn a lot more about film in an inexpensive way, which gives me confidence to go back and shoot some more film in the future. So what I've chosen for you today is a single photo I took in Tokyo, which I thought would be the perfect one to showcase all my favorite features. We will go through some of my favorite film stock and some features like the grain, halation, bloom, compression and so on. So let's jump in and see what we're dealing with. Before we jump into Dehancer, I just want to make a quick note to tell you that all of these photos, including the Tokyo one, has been edited in Lightroom. And I think going forward, that's the process and workflow I will follow. I will edit the photo and then jump into Dehancer for that final finishing touches. Let's start with what I liked about the plugin. To start with, it is an outside plugin. That's meaning you have to round trip it to the plugin. It's not in Lightroom. But even for a lazy round tripper like myself, this is not an issue at all. Installing the plugin was fairly easy if you follow the instruction provided to you. So we'll get to my favorite features in a moment. I just want to highlight a few of the things I thought Dehancer did really well. Just a quick side note. While I was editing the video, I realized I've never mentioned the very convenient histogram and the capability of switching it on and off as you feel fit. The interface is very clean and easy to navigate. It can be as simple or as customizable as you wish. To start with, you've got the films and presets. Both of them you can go into favorites. As you can see, I've got some favorites here for the Cinestill. But on the preset side of things, although there is quite a bit, I went and I created a very ugly preset, but just for the sake of knowing that that was my preset, you can go in my presets and you can see a very ugly preset I created. And that's something you can then save. So you can customize it and save a preset. So whether it is a full customizable or just going to films and selecting your favorite films that works for you, that is quite easy. The next thing I love about Dehancer is the spacebar, where you can easily jump to what your picture looked before and after. I am going to save it like this, so there's a clear contrast on what we did on this photo. So I'm going to keep to that preset I created. And then the last thing that I really love is that if you click OK, it takes back to Lightroom. But instead of replacing your original photo, it just creates another copy. So you've got two files working for you. Okay, so here you can see in Lightroom the one that we've just saved and then the other one. But I'm going to keep that as is. Let's jump back into Dehancer so I can quickly run through some of my things I think could be a little bit better or could be improved. It is really nitpicking, but I would like to go through some of them. Right off the bat, it automatically jumps back to the last edit you did. As you can see, we're back to that very funky looking black and whitish mush. That could be a pro in some senses where if you've got a batch that you would like to apply the effect on, this would work pretty fast and quickly. So I agree with that. But I would like to rather let them, because there is somewhere I think at presets, it goes to your last edit. Rather give me my original first and give me the option to go back to my last edit so that I can start with a clear photo and then take it from there. The next thing, and although this is a very small thing, it's a big nuisance for me, is that I have to go up there to undo. And in my workflow, I'm so used to using Command Z to go back and undo that I would love them to incorporate that. They've already got the spacebar to view your before and after, so it would be a nice touch to add the Command Z to undo the last step you did. Then the other thing I would have liked, it's like I said, small stuff, is that let's go back to the film. You can see there is quite a bit of film. And I would have liked two options. Either to resize the thumbnail so I can get a better idea of what's happening there, or as I hover over them, it must change my main photo. Just to get a bigger idea. On the small, it's really hard to distinguish between some of these profiles. The next thing, because I know so little about film photography, I would have liked each of these settings, and we will dive into them in just a moment, but just have a little bit of information, like a little eye that you hover over or you can click on to give you a little bit of background on what exactly is happening in that setting. Although it's quite easy to figure out, and I think I did manage to figure out a few, I still think there's some that goes missing and which I don't explore that much because I don't understand them. But like I said, that's really small and nitpicking. The other thing is a little bit of a pain is that if, for instance, now I jumped into this, I couldn't find anything I'm really happy with, and I just say cancel, so I don't want to change anything. It still goes back to Lightroom and create another copy. If I click, whether I click OK or cancel, it creates a second copy. And I would like for the cancel to just ignore everything and keep my original as is. Whereas now I have to go back and delete that extra copy that they created. The original and the one that I cancelled is exactly the same photo, but I think they just could have gone and ignored I wanted to do something and close the program. Okay, so let's go and then we will quickly run through and I can show you exactly what Dehancer is capable of. I'm going to go and I'm going to apply a film profile. I prefer the film and then build on top of that, whereas with the presets it's all pre-built presets and you can go through that. That's like the shortcut, but I like to fine-tune it myself. So I'm going to go there. I have a few favorites I've already selected, so there you can see. And then, let's go. There's a nice toggle where you can do the before and after, because with spacebar, it's only the amount of time you push in spacebar, and then it goes back to the film look. So you can just go like that, and then it is. So I've got a few, but I would like to show, I think works well. For night and cityscapes, I think cinematic film really looks nice. So I'm going to jump through a few. That's the one, the Cinestill, My other favorite was the Kodak, which is a little bit softer, the Fuji Pro H, which is a little bit bluer and colder. And then before I jump to my final choice, I would like to jump into the Ilford as well. I want to show what that can do for you as well. But the one that I really like is the Fuji Pro Via. It just adds a little bit more punch, saturation for this photo. And as we edit, you will see why I need that extra bit of saturation. Let's have a look just by applying the film, the before and after. So it's a bit brighter, a bit more magenta, but it creates a nice city vibe. So all of these are switched off at the moment, and like you can see, you can extend and close the tabs as you need them. So let's start with the developer. Let's switch that on. And here you can see how you can boost your contrast, but I'm not going to do the developer. What I would like to use for this one is the compression. For the compression, it just brings your highlights and shadows a little bit closer. So let's have a look at that again, before and after. So you can see the highlights in the sky just comes a bit closer to the shadows of the rest of the photo. Print I really enjoyed. This is what I assume. Film is one look, but what you print it on is a complete different look. And here they don't give you much options, but it's enough to make a difference. I've come to love the Endura because it's a bit more contrasty, punchy, and a bit more saturated. Fujifilm 3513, I like that one. I like the bluer ones, the kind of darker shadows, because it's this gritty street photo. I think I like that. I am going to add grain, but I will come back to that. That's the other thing. I think I would have liked to reshuffle them in my workflow. So next up is the bloom. Bloom just makes all your highlights glow a bit more and falls off. And this brings me back to why I like this film. Because you can see how that softens the moment I switch it on, off and on. It just softens, it makes them. Once again, there's quite a bit of options to choose from. I'm going to go with a preset that's a lot more easier. I think the 16mm or the 35mm. I think the 16 is too soft. Let's go for the 35mm. It has a little bit of glow without overpowering it. Okay? And then I'm going to go with the halation. So halation creates this red glow around highlights. And that's probably the main reason I chose this photo. Because there's so many neon lights, this is the best example to showcase what that does. So I'm going to switch it on. It's going to go to custom. You can see what that does. But once again, I am a bit lazy. I'm just going to go to one of the presets. The smaller the size, the more halation there is. So let's go and see. You can see, but that's way too extreme. So I am going to go and change that up to, I think, the 35. 35, still too much. 65. Yes, I think that's there. You can see the effect. It gives that gritty, glowy. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add film grain. Once again, you can go into so much detail. I'm going to stick to some of the presets. And I would like a grain that would obviously be there on the film, because if I were to take this on film, it probably would have been a higher ISO. So that I do know. Let's see if I go 35mm, 500, I think yes. I like that. The reason I like that, let's zoom to 100%. It just creates so much more of grit, like this. I don't know, it just, nothing's perfect in this photo. If you have a look, and it's with intention, the little girl or the girl could have been a little bit sharper in my opinion in my original photo. But that's not sharp, the people are moving, it's busy, none of these signs work together, some are lit up, some are not. So I like that gritty street feel, and that's why I wanted to add the noise as well. If we have a look, I'm going to zoom in again so we can see, you can look around there for the noise. Let's switch off the noise, film grain off. It's clean, it's sharp, it's like cloudy, but the moment you add, it just adds that extra bit of punch. And while we've gone and we've tuned in all the settings, let's just have a look at, if I were to keep all of that settings as is, what it would look like if I converted this to black and white as well. Obviously for this photo, it's not my favorite photo to convert to black and white. I like the color punch, I like the busyness, I like the colder monotone bottom with a brighter saturated top. So for this photo I probably wouldn't, but just for the sake of what it would look like, let's jump into my two favorite black and white film stocks. The Eelfert, I like how she pops, and then I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but that one adds a lot more punch. Let's go there, more neutral, more punchy, but I am going to keep it to my gritty, colorful street neon photo. And okay. Now, let's jump into the mobile app. I'm primarily going to use my iPad because I like the bigger screen. But I will show you a brief introduction to the phone app as well, since it's the same thing just on a smaller screen. All of the photos I'll be editing in that one was taken on my mobile, so you can get a true representation of what the app is capable of. Since I've already done all the functionalities and what everything does, I'm not going to dive into all those. I'm just going to focus on the UI and show what I like or don't like about that. Okay, so as you open it up, that's your last camera roll photos that you've had in. In that corner, there you can log in with your credentials, and then at the bottom here, you can see that your subscription is active and you can go. So either you can scroll through, have a look at your photos, or there's an easier way. You can just open, and there you can see I have pre-selected a few Dehancer photos. So let's go. I'm going to open another Tokyo photo because I just think they work so well for these ones. And then right off the bat again, you can see there's the originals. So let's go and original. You can go to categories, and once again, there's all your presets. Let's go and see my presets. Okay, so that's something I think I would have liked. I've created the preset in the desktop version, and I would have liked that it would pull through onto the mobile version as well. It just would have been nice. It's the integration, and the same with the film, because if you go to edit and your films, there are so many of them that it would have been nice that the favorites, when I've put in the time on my desktop, would pull through in here, and I suppose vice versa. But for the time being, let's keep this as is. Selected the Fuji Velvia. No, I think I want to go with something a little more cinematic. Although I did say I'm not going to go into details, let's go with that one just for the sake of it. So at the bottom here is all the little pictures, and that's actually really, really nice. I get so much more of an idea of what each setting does than just with a word like bloom. And once I've selected my film stock, I can then move on to the next one. So let's go to print. So you can then see with the little blue dot there that it is active. And if you want to deactivate it, you can just tap it and tap it again and it's deactivated and activated. But let's go to the print. I love how it pops with color when you're in that specific setting. Let's see my different paper types. Let's stick with that. Let's add a little bit of bloom. I think this is quite nice that I can amplify or minimize it a little bit more. Let's keep it like that. Let's go for the halation. Once again, I'm going to drop it a little bit. I'm not the biggest, but you can see around the Japanese lettering how much it makes a difference. I'm going to go a bit more with this one, I think like that. So you can see everything that's being used has that blue little dot, and I really, really love that. It's just a quick indication, it's a pop of color, it's just, I love this user interface. And then let's add a bit of grain just for the sake of it. Let's go ISO 500 again. Let's see if we zoom in. Yeah, that works perfect. And then we can see if we add a little bit of grain like that. I think that is perfect. So if you hold down, it's the before and after, much like the space bar. So it's a really intuitive user interface, and I would highly recommend this. I saw that it doesn't have a mobile-only subscription, and maybe that's something Dehancer can consider at some stage. I think a lot of people don't always use the desktop version. I'm old school in that way. I don't know why I like the computer to do my editing. If I had to pay for it and I was not a desktop user, like an Instagrammer or something, I think I would prefer a mobile-only subscription as well. Then we can go and we can share or save it to gallery. I'm just going to save it to gallery. But love, love, love the app. Okay, open Dehancer, choose a photo. I'm just going to tap there, choose the redwoods in Melbourne. And as you can see, it's pretty much the same interface, just a lot smaller. So let's go to edit again. And there you can see all the little pictures, which I so much loved in the iPad app, is here as well. So let's go to films. I'm just going to choose from here. I know that Velvia is a positive film. If I can just, there we go. And then we can Fuji Velvia 50, choose that one. Paper, print, Endura is perfect. Once again, you can just tap with your finger before and after, before and after. Let's add a little bit of bloom, just a tad bit, and then some compression as well. Once again, you can just switch it off, switch it on, and then you can see the impact that it makes. Yeah, I'm not going to jump into this just too much. I just wanted to show you a quick of what it looks like, but it's basically the same as the iPad, just in a much smaller form. This plugin got me really excited, and it surprised me in all the best ways. I am actually at the point where I want to shoot film more because of it. But it's not always feasible, and for instance, traveling with film is an absolute nightmare. I don't have the capacity to carry around an extra camera. So this is the perfect plug-in to assist during those times where I won't be able to shoot film. And if you're interested after this review, remember my affiliated link or the discount code Carly10 to get your subscription and enhance your photos or add that extra bit of drama, cinematic, or whatever it is you prefer. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.